Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the vlog. The stage behind me is set. We are at the Best Bet Jacksonville live stream here, back at the 22 streets where I belong. 2023, you guys have been watching the channel, you know, has been so swingy, so who knows what the hell today brings. And just to make things a little bit tougher, I brought Roy with me from Orange City. Aaron B is here, and also a Best Bet live stream regular, Marvel Allen, who's a pretty good player. So this is not going to be an easy day, so let's see how it goes. If you enjoy, like, subscribe, let's get to it. It's Kentucky Derby Day, so the first thing I did when I walked in was place a bet on horse number 17, who did not win the Kentucky Derby. We then drew seats and sat down to start the stream. It's the first time I've been back to Best Bet since the 2-5 live stream I played in January, where I lost $2,000, so I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous. The last 3 times I've played on stream, I've gotten involved in a big pot very early, and that tradition will continue as the very first hand is a $10 bomb pot. We're 8 ways to a flop of 10-6-2 with 2 diamonds. It checks to me, and I peek down at pocket 2, so we have bottom set.
How about 7-card flush poker, my man Andy Weeks with the set right out of the gate. Deuces never loses.
I elect to check, pretty sure someone's going to bet, and Marvel Allen does for $50. It folds to me, and I have to re-raise with 2 diamonds out, so I bump it up to $150. Marvel Allen very quickly calls, so we're off to the turn. The turn's an 8 of spades. It feels like a really safe card. I've got 240 left in my stack, so I jam it, and I'm nearly beaten to the pot by Allen, who calls. He asks if it's pocket 2s, and I show him, and he has 10-6 for a flop top 2, which actually takes away some of my board pairing outs, as any 6 or any 10 is going to give him a better boat. So we have some things to avoid here on the river. The river is a 9 of spades, which is a great card, and we get the full double up on the very first hand of the night.
First hand, bomb pot, and Andy's already got content for the vlog.
Just a few minutes later, there's a button straddle. We see calls from the big blind, Roy and under the gun, Aaron in the low jack, and the king in the high jack. I'm in the cutoff, and I look down at king queen offsuit. This feels like a really good spot to squeeze, and so I bump it up to $30. It folds back to Aaron in the low jack, and he makes the call, as does the king in the high jack, so we're 3 ways to a flop.
And then the other player I was going to reference was the king. He's going to go ahead and come over.
The flop is queen 5-10 rainbow, so we flop top pair. It checks to me, and with top pair I could check and try to let one of my opponents catch up, but instead I try to go for some more value and I fire for $65. It's back on Aaron with pocket 6s, and I'd love a hand just like his to call. I'm hoping he can put me on something like ace-king or king-jack and call 1 street, but he ends up folding. The king folds as well, and we win another one. About 10 minutes later, we see calls from under the gun and +2 before Caleb in the cutoff raises to $15. We see a call from Aaron on the button before it folds to me, and I look down at 9-10 offsuit. I elect to call and try to hit a flop. Both limpers call as well, so we're 5 ways to the flop. The flop is 5-10-3 rainbow, so we flop top pair. Being the first to act, I start with a check. It checks to the pre-flop raiser, who continues for $15. On Aaron, and he very quickly calls. It's on me, and a board like this is much better for me than Caleb. I can have all the sets. I can have ace-10, king-10, jack-10, and 10-9. If I flat, then Allen and Miami will be getting a great price that they can't fold to, so I decide to play a little bit more aggressive, and I check raise to $60. Allen gets out of the way very quickly, and the commentators note that the last time I check raised was the bomb pot when I had deuces, so that should actually make this move look incredibly strong. Action on Miami, and he must be buying the story I'm telling because he ends up folding the better 10 here. Over to Caleb, who has none of it, but that hasn't stopped him from calling bets so far, but he ends up letting this one go. Aaron lets his pocket pair go, and so we take it down, and it appears we have a very strong image at this table. 30 minutes in, we have a dealer change, which means another bomb pot, $80 in the middle, and we head to a flop of ace-10 deuce rainbow. It checks to the king and under the gun, who bets $25. It's on me, and I look down at king-jack of diamonds, so I have a gut shot to the nuts. Getting 4-to-1 odds, I feel like it's a good price to continue, so I call. It folds to Miami in the cutoff, who calls as well. Everybody else folds, so we're 3 ways to the turn.
D-Money in the chat, what's good? D-Money.
The turn is a bink queen of clubs, so we've made the nuts. This does not stop the king, though, as he quickly bets for $100. The action's on me, and the king has about 320 behind. Being a bomb pot, it's doubtful I'm up against something as strong as a set. It's probably something more like a 2-pair hand. I'm afraid if I raise, then I could allow a hand like 2-pair or maybe some sort of combo draw to fold, so I elect to just flat. Miami frustratingly folds, so we're heads up to the river. The river's a 3 of diamonds. Feels like a great card. The king immediately shoves his last 320 and I snap it off. I roll it over and we see the king had 2-pair and we take down a 1K bomb pot 30 minutes in. And it seems like we've got Roy's attention.
16. Andy again winning a bomb pot.
Wow, Andy is just tearing it up right now, huh?
Apparently the king has had enough, and 30 minutes in, we're already down a man. 5 minutes later, we're in the big blind. We see 2 calls before Caleb in the cutoff throws out a single green chip, but he doesn't say anything, so that's going to act as a call, which doesn't appear to be his intention, but it stands as a call. Miami in the small blind calls, and I check. We're going to this flop 5 ways. The flop is king 4-9 with 2 hearts, so I have a gut shot straight draw. It checks all the way to Caleb, who fires for $15. Caleb has been involved in every hand so far tonight. The guy has no fold button, so he can be betting with literally any 2 cards. We see a call from Miami. The action's on me, and I could raise to isolate, but I elect to just flat and see what develops. And that brings along Marvel Allen. Roy does fold though, so we're 4 ways to the turn. The turn is an 8 of diamonds. It brings in a second flush draw. Miami checks it over to me. I decide to go ahead and slow down a little and check, and surprisingly it checks all the way through. The river's an interesting card. It's the jack of hearts, so it gives me a straight, but it does bring in the flush. Miami checks it to me, and Caleb has bet almost every street so far today, so I decided to go ahead and check and allow him to fire. Allen checks it over to him, and Caleb does fire for $35. Miami folds, and when it's back on me, I decide to just flat. If I raise, I'm probably only getting called by better, and I don't want to get bluff raised off my hand, so I just call here. Allen folds, and we learn Caleb couldn't beat anything in the world, and we win a small one. Two hands later, there's a button straddle. We see calls from both blinds and the hijack. It's on Miami in the cutoff, who raises all in to $157. Just your standard 39x raise. On me in the straddle, we have ace-queen offsuit. I look over to my left and I see Allen has about $500 and Amber has about $325. I'm worried if I flat, one of the blinds could come over the top, but then I remember they just called the straddle, so I probably have the best of it here. Now that I'm not worried about the blinds, I elect to just call, and sure enough, they both fold quickly, so we'll head to a run-out heads up against Miami. The flop of 4-4-3 brings us no improvement. The turn of an 8 doesn't help either, nor does the 6 of diamonds on the river. I announce ace high, and he says me too. So I show, and I'm surprised to see Miami flip over ace 5 offsuit. So we had him crushed pre-flop. He did flop a straight draw, but the clean run-out gives us another win. 15 minutes later, we're in the big blind. We see 2 calls before Caleb in the cutoff bumps it up to $12. We then see a call from Aaron on the button and a call from Miami in the small blind. I'm in the big blind. I look down at ace-king suited, the heart variety. Pretty standard 3-bet spot here, and with so many people interested, I'm going to size up a little bit and I make it $55. It folds all the way back around to Miami, who calls, so we're heads up to a flop in position.
We're definitely seeing this multi-way.
The flop is ace-jack-jack, so we flop 2 pair. Miami checks, and I'm probably way in the lead, and given that the board is rainbow, I think a check works fine, but I'm running so hot, I elect to bet, and I make it $75. Miami quickly folds, and we take another one. Taking a look at the first hour stats.
Andy.
Russian.
Up 1,500 in the first hour of the live stream. Caleb up, Roy up, Amber up a little bit.
Look at those VPIPs. You know a game is good when 3/4 of the table are playing 40% or more of their hands. An hour and 15 minutes into the stream, we see an open from Amber and under the gun to $20. Then we see Justin and +1 3-bet to $55. It folds over to Caleb, who has 2 cards, so of course he calls. It folds to me in the small blind, and I look down at pocket jacks. This is an interesting spot as I'll be playing the hand out of position. I respect the opening range of under the gun and the 3-betting range of +1. However, I can't just call and play out of position 4 ways, so I'm going to raise. I'm going to make it big. I make it $240. I'm going to make hands like ace-king and ace-queen suited pay to play, and perhaps my tight image can put a hand like queens in a really tough spot. Little do I know, that's exactly what Amber has, and I'm surprised with how quickly she lets him go. Justin doesn't waste too much time and he folds. It's back to Caleb, who stares at me, then he cracks a grin. Caleb goes into his posturing that he does. Of course, I have no idea how weak his hand actually is. He starts shuffling chips, and I'm wondering if he actually does have a hand like ace-king or ace-queen here, and he's considering a jam. Eventually, though, Caleb lets it go, and we get $130 pushed our way without having to see a flop, and we get the better hand to fold. Amber said I represented aces or kings with my 4-bet, and that's why she let her hand get away from her so fast, but I'm happy to take this one down with a really good aggressive play.
Again, it's just Andy's
Amber
world right
folded
now.
queens?
She did.
What the heck?
2 hours in, it's bomb pot time again. There's $80 in the middle, and we head straight to a flop of king 5-4 with 2 spades. It checks to me and under the gun, and I look down at king 5, so we flop top 2. I've cracked 2-pair and bomb pots twice tonight, so while 2-pair is normally a really strong hand, it hasn't been strong in bomb pots today. However, it is too strong to check, so I throw a bet of $20 out. I'm laying a good price for drawing hands to continue, and if the draw completes, I can just shut it down. We get calls from Alan, Caleb, and Aaron, so we're 4 ways to the turn. The turn is an ace of hearts. It's not a great card, but it doesn't complete a straight or a flush. It checks to me, and this time I'm going to size up with my bet, and I bet $130, about 3/4 pot. I'm targeting an ace that maybe floated a flop like ace-x of spades and flush draws as well. It folds to Caleb, who has a pair and a straight draw. Seems like the kind of hand this particular player would love to continue with, but surprisingly folds. Aaron folds as well, and we win our 3rd bomb pot of the evening. About 2 hours and 15 minutes in, Caleb moves directly to my left, and I don't love this, but I'll just have to adjust for it. In the next hand, we see 2 callers before it folds to me in the cutoff, and I have 8-9 offsuit. I like connectors in later positions, and so I bump it up to $15. We see the button, the small blind, and +2 call, so we're 4 ways to the flop. The flop is 4-8-6 with 2 diamonds, so we have top pair. It checks to Aaron and +2, who bets $20. The action is on me, and this board is very connected with both straight and flush draws, and while I think it's better for my opponent's calling ranges, I do have top pair. I decide to keep the foot on the gas, and I bump it up to $70. It's over on Caleb, who has a gut shot straight draw. I can't see him folding here, until he folds. Amber folds as well, and it's back on Aaron with middle pair and a gut shot, and he's not going anywhere, so he calls. We're heads up to the turn. The turn is a queen of spades, so it does bring it over to my pair, but I'm not sure how many queens get here except maybe ace-queen or king-queen of diamonds. Aaron checks, and I want to try to get some more value, and so I bet $125. It's back on Aaron, who gives it some thought, and he ends up making the call, leaving about $250 behind. The fact that he didn't jam makes me feel really good about my hand as we head to the river. If I wasn't feeling good enough, the river is a 9 of spades, so while it does complete 5-7, it gives me 2 pair. Aaron checks it over to me, and there's just one move. I rip it. If he has 5-7, that's fine. I'm happy to pay him off. Aaron gives it about 8 seconds of thought before telling me I'm good and folding, and the tone of this wild, fun table is starting to change.
And Andy now has over 2K in front of him. Table's gone dead silent.
Today's video is brought to you by Poker and Chill Apparel Company. Poker and Chill has a variety of stylish, humorous shirts, high-quality hats, and comfortable hoodies. I love my blue zip-up hoodie. It's super soft, fits great, and keeps me warm without overheating me. Use promo code AndyW15 for 15% off your order, free shipping for orders over $100. Follow them on Instagram or check out their website, pokerandchillapparel.com. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and play along with me in this next hand. There's a button straddle, we're in +1, and we look down at pocket jacks. I bump it up to $20. We see a call from Caleb and +2. Action on Roy in the button, he also calls, as well as both blinds, so we're headed 5 ways to a flop with jacks. The flop is 9-9-8 rainbow, so we have an overpair. The blinds check it over to me, and I'm not really sure what to do. Betting into 4 people seems really adventurous, but I don't want it to check and have Roy blast off, so I elect to bet $60, a little more than half pot. It folds over to Roy on the button, and I've played a good amount with Roy, and he's giving off this vibe that he's going to do something here. And he does something. He puts in the raise to $145, a pretty small sizing. It folds back to me, and I can't fold to that price. I could re-raise to really apply pressure, but I think I'm only getting called or re-raised again by a 9. So in the moment, I elected the flat. We're heads up to the turn. The turn is a 3 of spades. It feels like a really safe card. The action's on me, and I start with a check. Over to Roy, and I'm praying he just checks this back given how fast I called his raise, but Roy does not check. He bets $225. Back on me, and Roy is definitely competent enough to run a bluff here, but he could also have a hand like 8-9 or 9-10 or ace-9 given that he's on the button. It's back on me, and you can see I'm literally hunched over hating this spot. Roy still has $500 behind, so if I call, he is not going to hesitate to jam the river. I honestly have no idea where I'm at in the hand. I'm either way ahead or way behind. The longer I think, the more confused I'm getting.
Like I said, these two are buddies. Play a lot with each other down in Orange City.
Damn it, Roy.
I think Handy's going to fold this. So why you do this, Roy? We can just check this down like good old Samaritans.
Isn't the race about to start?
Oh, you can call 101. This is 104.
Yeah, it should be a rip. Wow, and he does end up folding.
Do me the justice and show me.
Just show him 2 8s.
Show me the 9. Come on.
Show him the deuce.
Come on. Or show me the
Wow.
bluff.
Why do you want
Show
to
me
see
the
it?
9. You, have
You
the
really
9.
want to see it? I don't have the 9.
I see
Then
it.
show it to me. Then show it to me. Show me the bluff.
Semi-bluff.
Right here, Roy.
Thank you.
So it turns out it was a really bad fold. God damn you, Roy. Looking at the stats 3 hours in, and we're still up 3 buy-ins, and though the table has tightened up some, we still have half the players playing 50% or more of their hand, so it's still a good table. A little over 3 hours in, we're straddling from the button. We see 2 calls before it gets to me, and I look down at pocket 8s. I put in a raise to $20. Being in late position, I'm comfortable raising with a mid-pocket pair. Both players call, so we're 3 ways to a flop. The flop is 9-10-3 rainbow, so I have third pair. It checks to me, and I put out a c-bet of $35, about half pot. Action's on Caleb, who has 7 high in a dream, and he announces raise and makes it $125. It's on Aaron, who actually has the best hand here, but he folds, and so it's back to me. The board isn't that connected, so when Caleb raises, it feels like either the nuts or air. Unfortunately, a 9 or a 10 has me drawing super slim. I listen to that voice deep from within, and it's my internet saying, you lose to too much, pick a better spot, and I end up letting it go, and I'm immediately shown the bluff, which from what I understand is not Caleb's first bluff of the night. Bad fold by me. After this, I would go card dead for over an hour, just folding away before finally, being in the hijack, we see a call from under the gun before Miami and +2 makes it $45. I look down at pocket 6s, the best hand I've seen since the pocket 8s. I don't normally call 22x raises with a middle pair, but we're in the last hour and I'm trying to win a hand, so I call. We see the small blind call as well, so we're going 3 ways to a flop. The flop is Jack 8 deuce with 2 spades, so once again I have third pair. It checks to Miami, who down bets to $35. It's on me, and I consider a raise as Miami's bet looks very weak, but I do still have a player left behind to act, so I end up just calling. The small blind calls as well, so we're still 3 ways to a turn. The turn is interesting. It's an 8 of hearts, so it pairs the board. This time it checks all the way to me. And with that 8 pairing, it's less likely I'm up against one, and I may in fact have the best hand, so I'm going to bet it and I make it $115. Action on the small blind, who pretty quickly calls, and that just screams to me jack, and it's probably time to shut down. Miami releases his hand, so we're heads up to the river. The river is a king of spades. It's gross as it completes the flush draw. The small blind checks, and I'm happy to just check and get to showdown. He announces a jack, and of course he's good, and he wins. In the final hand of the night, we see an under the gun raise to $15. It folds to me, and I look down at Jack 9 offsuit. Desperate to play and make something happen, I call. I'm the only caller, so we're going to this flop heads up. The flop is 6-7-8 rainbow, so I flopped an open-ended straight draw. Under the gun puts in a c-bet of $15, and I'm happy to call and continue. The turn is a jack of hearts, so now we've made top pair. Under the gun fires again, this time for $35. Now that I've picked up top pair to go along with my gutter, my hand feels a lot stronger, and so I'm going to put in a raise, and I bump it up to $105. Under the gun pretty quickly calls, so we're off to the river. The river's a queen of hearts. It's just not a great card. Under the gun checks this time, and once again, I'm just happy to get to showdown, so I check and under the gun announces aces. I can't beat that hand, so we lose another one. So while the first hour of this stream was insane, and the first 2 hours or so were great, the last 3 hours just saw a lot of folding and me trying to make things happen. But as always, it was really fun playing on the live stream. It's time to rack up and make the drive back home.
Okay, so we'll wrap up that stream, and that was definitely an eventful night, kind of a tale of two tables. I mean, just fireworks for like the first 2.5 hours, and then it got real weird after, and I went absolutely card dead. And as you guys can see, I tried to make things happen. It didn't work. Roy?
Well, you ran like God
For 2 hours.
2-3 hours. Tripled up. I was up, down, up, down. I finished up about a little over 900, so maybe you beat me by a few, maybe I beat you by a few.
In for 400, out for 1309.
Yeah, so overall, pretty good game, man. I'm satisfied with it.
Good night. Good to see Orange City representing up at Best Bet. If you guys enjoy, like, subscribe.
OC
See you next
represent.
time.
Wait a minute. No trip to Jacksonville will be complete without a stop at Buc-ee's. If you don't know what Buc-ee's is, it's the gas station to end all gas stations. Imagine the size of an Amazon fulfillment center with the quality of Publix and the cleanliness of Wawa. I, of course, had to stop in and get some of their famous barbecue.
Let's try the 3 meats. Sausage, brisket, and turkey. I doubt this could be bad. Oh my God. It's so good. It's just an explosion. Oh no. Son of a bitch. An explosion of barbecue flavor. It's now going to be trapped under that seat for a long time. That is really good though. It's got the sausage in here. We usually pick it up and make it for breakfast. Matter of fact, I did pick one up to make it for breakfast. And yeah, that's really good. If you ever find yourself on 95 by Daytona or St. Augustine, you gotta stop by Buc-ee's. It's pretty legit. I give it a pretty good effort, but I still feel like I have like a whole sandwich worth of meat here. So, wrap this up. I head home. If you enjoy, like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more poker content. And you can follow me on Instagram at 7cardflushpoker.